Snap Publishing, where we discuss the Secrets of Ed Leeds Scanlon's Coral Castle and how it pertains to the biblical narrative and the Temple of Solomon, the Zodiac, and DNA. Okay, so we were talking about Satoshi Nakamoto, and that is my opinion on what it represents. Represents the world monetary system, cleverly disguised, once again, right over people's heads, connected to South North, Satoshi Nakamoto, the minus, vacuum, attractive, and then the repulsive positive. Center line of the temple, the what is called the Green Man, which we discussed earlier. You watch your, now this is in my opinion, can't state it as fact, but who the Hulk is. Character of the Hulk. Jesus said to take the strong man's treasure, you have to take the strong man. Who's the strong man? The Green Man. So if you notice in my temple graphic, which, like I say, they're all for sale on my website, snappublishing.com. On the far right side, where you get the 5, 6, and 7, you got Praesodymium, Neodymium, Prometheum. That's Jesus in the underworld before he rose from the dead. This is also, in my opinion, Neo from the Matrix. Look above Neo, you come to his boss, Morpheus, which is molybdenum, or Moses, whose girlfriend was who? Niobe. Neo's girlfriend was who? Tritium, hydrogen-3, fluorine. Okay, when you look at that 5, 6, and 7 in the form of praesodymium, neodymium, and promethium, praesodymium means green or jealous twin. And I talked about earlier how that is, Rachel tried to steal Leah's birthright. So all these people yelling, oh, patriarchy, patriarchy. I'm not buying it. Because women have tried to screw over women. It ain't got nothing to do with patriarchy, matriarchy. Once you connect the dots, you realize that that green jealous twin is always who? Number 3, or number 33, or number 333. It's always on this side over here. You're stuck between God and the devil. Okay, so neodymium, Jesus, was crucified between who? The two thieves. Who are the two thieves? God and the devil. They're always trying to get at us. God wants the best from us. Won't accept second best. So God will literally take everything you have multiple times until you get it right. God will steal from you. God will take your stuff. And any Christian who contends with me, I challenge him. God is a thief. God, the devil ain't got nothing on God. We've already covered this. Satanists need to realize that, hey, they're in the wrong camp. Because really, if you think about it, we're all in the middle. And the devil ain't your friend, and neither is God. Listen to what I'm telling you. I just said earlier about Sam Shamoon. Very brilliant man. I know what it's like to have that kind of finesse with God's word. There was a time, it wasn't a scripture that I couldn't recall from memory. I don't remember any of them anymore. I have to look things up. Because I pushed it away. I got away from it. Because I was getting too close to the Holy of Holies. And God let me know. Boy, it's like drill sergeants. Son, you're starting to piss me off. You knew in basic training, those drill sergeants did not mess around. Once you cross that, you pissing me off, son. You knew. So that is where we are as the human race. You guys with all your tattoos and bones in your noses and spiked hair and everything, guys need to wake up. Same thing with us people who are really versed in the Bible. You're on thin ice. Trust me, you're not going the right way. You are going to get called out in a bad way because you're getting too big for your britches. Slow down. I'm not telling you how to live your life. You can keep going that way all you want, man. But I've been there. And you better be careful. Because the closer you get to God, you're going to find out. Everything I'm telling you, there's a reason the devil's scared shit of God. And it ain't the other way around. Ever. It is a magnetic monopole. His way, their way, or the fucking highway. I hate to drop that F-bomb. Pardon my French. But I'm telling you right now, this is heart attack, serious stuff. Right? And I wouldn't have cursed out loud if I wasn't absolutely 1,000,000% sure of myself in that. So that is who. You're wondering who the green man is? That's the green jealous man. That's the monetary system. The world monetary system that lies in wickedness. So you ask me, who's Satoshi Nakamoto? I tell you, he's a Naga. He's that green serpent, the green eye of jealousy that fuels all things. You try to take somebody who's a cartel member's money. They got all the money in the world. A farmer found over $100 million of Pablo Escobar's buried money. Pablo was already dead. Nobody noticed that money missing. That money didn't affect my life at all. And if you had touched one stack of that money, he wouldn't have noticed it at all. But if he found out, guess what? You'd be floating in the ocean somewhere. Why? Because that's that system. That's how that system operates. A couple more little interesting things. So 1 Samuel 4:1, 5:1, and 7:12. Here we have something that's E-Z-E with an R. And then you have 1 Samuel 20:19, the stone of E-Z-E-L. And this gets into a graphic image that I have of the E-dome and G-dome. There's no G-dome in the Bible. But I know wherever there's an E-dome, there's a G-dome. This taps into the rotation of the Earth as seen from the North Pole down. It's counterclockwise. Look from the South Pole up, it's clockwise. Right hand twist is Rachel, left hand twist is Leah. Right hand twist is east-west rotation, Rachel. Counterclockwise rotation is east to west. I take that back. Now back up. That's Rachel. Clockwise rotation is Leah. Now notice how that seems to contradict itself. It doesn't. It's in perfect harmony. Because in regards to one thing, Rachel represents one thing. But in regards to something else, she means something totally different. Economic systems, socialism, that's attributed to Leah. Big families, a socialist community. Rachel isn't that way. She's capitalist. Like I said, she tried to take her sister's stuff. If it wasn't for Laban, the father, intervening. And by the way, Laban was the father, but Laban is labia. Lebanon is, it means the V. So when you say, oh, the Bible is patriarchy, patriarchy. No, you have to understand what it's talking about. Otherwise, you're going to believe bullshit. Laban actually represents the female influence, not the male. And you go into these, what appear to be male structured religions, very strict, very parochial. They're run by women, veiled with tattoos all over their faces, because they are saying we're going to keep all these women subordinate to us, the women at the top. And they're going to do what these men tell them to do. But who's keeping the order? The women are. Then you go over to a different type of society, Western society, and it appears that the women are running the show. Who's running the show? These billionaire Kabbalists behind the scenes are men. So, oh, look, we got this matriarchy here. Oh, women power. It's all being fueled by men. So you need to realize things aren't as they appear. And that whole matriarchy, patriarch thing, yeah, it's a bunch of bullshit. And you're in the middle. You're not on this side or the other side. George Carlin said it best. These two over here, these are exclusive clubs and you're never going to be a member. Those are the ultra rich, ultra cold-hearted people who have no conscience. Genetically, they were born, they're sociopaths. All the things that you're really not, if you think about it, you're a pretty decent human being. But you're siding with this group over here? Why? Think about things. I had a little thing I wanted to talk about, which is the 7 hills Rome is built upon. First is the Palatine, Capitoline second. Third is Quirinal or Quirinal. Fourth is Caelian with an AE. Remember, we talked about the AE. Fifth is Aven, Aventine. Sixth is Esquiline. And 7 is Viminal. Are they connected to Job's 7 sons and 3 daughters? You betcha. The main 3 daughters of Job, 9, 6, and 3. But sometimes those are males in the Bible. Hananiah, Azariah, and Mishael, or Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, or Noah's 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, or Adam's 3 sons, Cain, Abel, and Seth. Not in the book of Job. Job says they're women. So you can see where this whole matriarchy, patriarchy thing that women talk about, who've never read the Bible, they're wrong. So the 3 are now. There's more than 3. If you get into Hinduism, they talk about there's a lot of chakras. Okay, there's the crown, the pineal, the throat, the heart, the groin, which is the sacral, and then your feet, your root chakra. The Bible deals with the main 3. Judaism is they cut away all the fat. They give you only what you need. That's why I love it. I love it. I love it. I love that. I knew a guy who's like, I'm going to become a Buddhist. I'm like, why would you do that? That is a lot more difficult. There's a lot more moving parts in that. If you master Judaism and Christianity, you will understand Buddhism, Hinduism, the Vedas, the Mahabharata, all the legends of the Viking states there, Denmark, Sweden, Switzerland, Norway, those areas, that whole J.R.R. Tolkien, very difficult to understand. Talks about the big gyre that created salt that got cast into the ocean. That's the periodic table. You read Hamlet's Mill about Hamlet's Mill, and this guy Hamlet comes up over and over again. He's the same Hamlet, cleverly disguised from Shakespeare. How in the world are they connected? They're so vastly different. They're connected through the periodic table. You look at the periodic table, you look at this guy, Edward Lee Scanlon, some of these pictures where he's cranking his little machine. He's in here somewhere. But That's the salt grinder. That's the millstone. Jesus talked about it'd be better for someone to be cast into the ocean with a millstone around their neck. He's quoting from the same storyline that is brought up in Hamlet's Mill about this device that was tossed into the ocean. These people from these areas saw the poles moving. It used to be the Mediterranean. You see these angels striving on the Great Sea? That's the Mediterranean. It's also the Great Pyramid. It's also Antarctica and Easter Island. These naval communities that are close to these polar areas witnessed some amazing stuff. And they put it into legends to pass on to their children. And it's based on that design, that periodic table. You look, it's a type of crank, and there's the nether millstone was the heavy one. Okay? The top part, I think, was the light one. The nether one was the base. One had to be changed out all the time because it would wear. All right? We were talking about the center line, the three main chakras. And if you look at the seven spirits of God, these seven, people are like, oh, I grew up Catholic, but I became Protestant. And they started saying, yeah, the mystical Babylon, that's Rome. It was at one time. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be again. But I got news for you. The Temple of Solomon, as I've described it to you, mirror imaged, is Rome. And those seven hills that it's built upon are the same as the seven spirits of God. It's the same as the noble gases. Or if you go down to the salts, depending on which orientation you're going to use, the Goliath orientation or the original Daniel Nebuchadnezzar image. Which one do you want to talk about? The old world, Nebuchadnezzar. The new world, Goliath. One dealt in noble gases. The other is dealing in what? Alkali salts. And these seven hills of Rome, that's where they come from. It's that part of the periodic table. And this gets into the seven churches in the book of Revelation. You ready for them? Here they are. Revelation chapter 1, verse 13 and 1, verse 20. Ephesus. 2, Smyrna. 3, Pergamos. 4, Thyatira or Thyatira. 5, Sardis. 6, Philadelphia. And 7, Laodicea. Technically, there's 8. Because the whole thing starts out by saying the churches that are in Asia. Wait a minute. Since when was Asia in Europe? Because all those churches are in Europe. Oh, they were talking about Asia Minor. By the way, that's A minor, the note of A minor. Asia is A-I. Here it is. A-S-I-A. Notice the I-A. I told you in my graphic, if you see, it's the altar of incense and the incensed altar. I have it both ways, mirror images of each other. Why? That's why. He's saying these churches are in A-S-I-A. Okay? That's telling you a very specific thing. If it's A-I over here, it's I-A over here. That's this side over here of that temple. Not this one. One is Leah, the other is Rachel, or vice versa, or whatever. It's very, you blink, you'll miss it. So he's saying all those churches are in this framework, okay, of Asia. So what does that mean Asia is? It's your 1 and your 0. It's your center line. The churches that are on the center line are these 7. Mirror image it, you get 14. 1 and 4 is 5. That's your half line, your 0.5. Your 1 or your 0, you're back to a 10. 5 and 5 is 10. You don't have 10 fingers. You have 4.5, 4.5, but the 5s are here, right? 0.5. And that's also a 2. Your 2 and your 0.5 they're connected. All right? And also your 7. So when you understand the basic math that is the Bible, these things start lining up and making perfect sense. Otherwise, man, you are just like total chaotic. Nothing's laminar. It's a mess. Your head is scrambled eggs. Because they set you up to be that way. They got the church away from looking at these things, and they claimed authorship of these things. They took your birthright. They stole your birth. Jacob will steal your birthright. He's clever. Jacob the supplanter is taking your stuff. You left it laying around. You didn't care. You sold it for a hill of beans. By the way, that mentions the synagogue of Satan. That's Song of Solomon's, SOS. I'm going to go back because that touches on very interesting thing. The Ephesus, the Church of Ephesus hated the Nicolaitans. Do a search on the internet. I'm not going to do it for you. Find an anagram solver. Look up anagram solver or anagram generator. Type in Nicolaitans, Nicolaitans. Now notice that's an AI. Look at Nicolaitans and all the combinations of the letters of that word, what they come up with. Very interesting. And God hated them. Okay, so Nicolaitans are associated with Ephesus, Smyrna with the synagogue of Satan, Pergamos is Satan's seat. And like I say, people believe Jesus went to purgatory, that he didn't go into the lowest depths of hell. And that is also something very interesting that I am going to do a whole show concerning this right here. And that brings up a very interesting point. If you look underneath praseodymium, neodymium, and promethium, you will see protactinium, uranium, and neptunium. Pa, U, and NP. P-A-U-N-P. Remember what I tell you about the Bible. If there's a 1, there has to be a 0. If there's a neo, look under neo. Remember the high priest had Urim and Thummim? Stones, like these mysterious objects he placed over his heart. And they used to break them out to find whether somebody was guilty or not, to be put to death. They consulted the Urim and Thummim. That's uranium and thorium. If those 3 characters are Jesus with the 2 thieves crucified on his left and right side, who are those mysterious people down below? Who is at the foot of Jesus' cross? Do you remember? His mother. Mary, Elizabeth, and Mary Magdalene are is it protactinium? Yeah, protactinium, uranium, and neptunium. This is the female influence, the good one. If there's a bad one, there has to be a good one. If there's a good one, there has to be a bad one. You read in the book of Revelation where these frogs, it said 3 frogs came out of somebody's mouth. It was like the Antichrist or the false prophet. Those are the bad ones. Same basic essence behind it. Different set of rules. So if you got Jesus and between God and the devil, you got Mary between her cousin and this prostitute who got right with God. There's a whole other thing going on. This took me a long time to figure out because I couldn't, what do you call it? I couldn't unite some of the things that I've read throughout history. It just didn't seem to make sense. And one of them, if you if you're a fan of Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Nicks, she wrote the song Rihanna. That is a very real thing. Back in the days when they shot bow and arrows at each other and did sword play, these people dying on the battlefield that survived, they saw this woman going up and touching these wounded soldiers. This beautiful person. And this has happened a lot. This is very common. That's who that is. That's the influence behind that. Is there an evil version of that? You betcha. Is a complete opposite to that. But in this particular case, this person that the Irish or the Welsh, the Scots, whoever it was that came up with this name for her, they said, oh no, it's very real. These people that survived these horrific battles, they say, oh no, I woke up and she was right there. It was absolutely gorgeous. And just peace came over me. Yeah, that ain't something that's necessarily a bad thing. But I couldn't reconcile that in my Christian brain because to me, there was only Jesus. Father, Son, and Spirit. The women didn't play into this at all because I was dumb. But I've gotten wise in my old age. There's hope for everybody. But I'm just going to throw that out there. That's a very interesting part of this periodic table and how it explains a lot of things that people have no answer for. All right, thanks for tuning in, Snap Publishing. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And check us out in the description down below.